All right, welcome back to Finding Truth on Unscripted Truth TV on YouTube. Logan here with Austin, and tonight we're gonna have a pretty fun episode planned for you guys. We will, kick it off as usual, going over the NASCAR race, and I don't know if we have any necessarily like fans of the sport itself that would have seen the highlights, but I do have a couple highlights pulled up, so more than just going over the numbers and the boring details. I'll have some flashing images for you guys because we know you love flashing images. If you're anything like a 10-year-old, you're gonna love these flashing images. But just highlighting what we think is a little bit of, it's something to talk about because our call almost came in 10 laps short. Basically, our call came in 10 laps short, and we'll talk about maybe particular potential reasons why. Um, among other things. And then we'll do a quick look ahead to next week as well, and we'll also look at why potentially the winner uh, won. So because it's something we obviously missed, or they flipped the script on us. But so apart from that, I think tonight's episode is going to be a semi extension of last week's episode with a little added pizzazz of all this fear that's been going around. I mean, fears, it's not like it's a new concept, but it ramps up, and we're in that, we're in that, we're in that particular time for our generation where, fear is at the forefront of the media. Where's the hope? Where's the what can a 20 something year old, where can an 18-year-old, a fresh person coming into our society, look and find hope and something reliable and something consistent? It's nowhere to be found. All there is fear that you're not going to you know qualify, fear you're not going to make enough money, fear you're not going to get a job, fear you're going to get blown up when if war hits your country, fear you're going to get drafted, fear you're going to lose your house in a flood, fear you're going to lose your house in a fire, fear you're going to lose your house in a freak weather event that are never on purpose or planned, and you can't do that because only God can do that. Anyway, so yeah, the fear is at the forefront, and we just want to highlight pretty much our takes on some of the more prominent headlines that have been going around, and how we both think that in order to push back against the propaganda, you kind of have to rise above that level of fear. And this is at an interpersonal level, a personal level, and the macro as well. um because if enough of us ditch that fear that we have, they won't be able to push us around. They won't be able to, their indexes of our behaviors are going to change drastically, and they're going to see that they can't get away with half the stuff that they do to us, hopefully more than half. But without further yapping on my end, I'll shoot it down to Austin and see how his week's been going. How's it going, bud? Heard you had a couple of tests you passed.
Oh
Woo!
yeah, passed both my tests. Got the one done last week. Got this one done this week. So yeah, feeling accomplished. Yeah, it was a pretty good week. Got a lot done. I'd say feeling pretty good because kind of pretty much everything I needed to get done with and get over the humps. I got over the humps and kind of in just clear sailing now. I don't really have to really worry about anything as at least in the near future. But yeah, it was a good week. Yeah, I was just got home a few hours before I know you texted me and stuff. I was coming home today from my friends and yeah, I was just chilling last night. We were outside just like chilling, just like watching the sky and sitting outside watching them just spray lines and they're
Hmm.
spraying a couple before I was heading out last night and I was over at Steve's yesterday and doing some yard work and stuff. Then I got home and there's some spray lines going over the top and I seen some last night too. We were sitting outside looking at the stars and just chilling and just like watching the sky, looking at the spray lines at night and just kind of looking around at things. And yeah, it's been another pretty interesting week. thought it was interesting too. My number on my test was 201. Like all the 88s I had with the passing with the 88% with the all the 88s and stuff we've been talking about the last few weeks. And yeah, this is kind of a week where I kind of thought things were shaping up to look a certain way, especially with the race and stuff. But yeah, I'd say it was a good week. Had a lot of fun. 201st day of the year. I mean, go figure. Our uh, the race would fall today. Our 44 big episode number 44 would be tonight on the 201st day of the
Course.
year.
We
So
planned it.
yeah, I mean, it was just meant to be. It seemed, and yeah, this race. I mean, I've never really seen a race quite like it as
Mm,
far as um what I remember. It's interesting for a lot of reasons. I didn't really I was started watching the race. Like I told you, I was watching it a little bit on when I was leaving my friends, and um I was explaining to her all the 201s and everything that was going on, and with the test and all these numbers and 88. I was showing her all this stuff, and then yeah, this race. I watched like the first two stages there, and I was on my way home. Uh, and it was weird. It looked like it was shaping up to be exactly kind of what we were talking about last week. Um, the way things were aligning, and then for him, Christopher Bell to qualify third, you get all the 201s, his 201st race of the year on the 201st race of his career on the 201st day of the year. So you have, all the 201s, and then, he qualifies third. 2 plus 0 plus 1 is 3. It seemed like everything was kind of there. And yeah, just, he ended up winning stage two. He did really good stage one. He was up front, and it looked like he had a shot to, I think he was like second, third, pretty much all stage one, and stage two he won, and then he was up front, and then it was like the very start of like the final stage, he was leading, and then just happens to spin out, and very strange that he would spin twice while leading and going for the lead. Um, Generally, when you spin at Dover, typically here, I mean, there's no way you usually spin and don't hit anything. So
I mean, look at this. People crashing all around, cars whizzing by. Doesn't even hit the wall.
yeah, and that first spin still gets me too, because he was literally leading the race on the high side. Somehow he doesn't hit the wall, and the whole field misses him both times. Very just very strange. Don't think I've ever seen anybody spin twice while leading a race, and especially not get hit. I mean, I've never seen like, especially at Dover, where you spin, you're almost guaranteed to hit something, and to spin twice, not hit anything, it's just like, how lucky can you be? And it's like, it seemed like it was. I mean, it was really weird too how the race was shaping up, because they threw that late caution with the rain coming. There was that rainstorm, and he was just took the lead. He fell back from that first spin. He never made his way back up through the field after the first one. I thought maybe he was done after that. I'm like, man, I can't believe it. Then that he got to the front, and that caution came out for rain right when he was leading. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here it is. And it looked like, I didn't know if the race was gonna, if they were just gonna give it to him there, or they were gonna get back to racing. I didn't know what was gonna happen, so it was kind of interesting. And then once he's we went back green. Well, he lost a spot on pit road to Hamlin, so Hamlin and him coming out in front of him, and he was behind him. Then he ended up racing Hamlin there, and just ended up spinning out again. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. It seemed like it was for sure there. I mean, maybe it was kind of meant to come through, or it should have came through, but maybe things didn't go as planned, or maybe things didn't go as they were supposed to. But um, it sure seemed like everything was there for all the 201s, and everything you could really have for a massive ritual to take place. I mean, and just the way the race played out. I mean, there really wasn't really any cautions or wrecks all race. It was pretty clean. It was pretty straightforward. Um, it looked like we were shaping up for just Christopher Bell to just be clutch and get that stage two win, and get to the front again towards the end, and either win it off of the rain, or just get to the lead, pass Hamlin, and win it. But yeah, just one of those races were definitely a race you'll never forget, especially with everything on the line. Yeah, just something that I've never quite seen a race like it. Really, I mean, it's very interesting the way it played out. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what happened, but I mean, you really couldn't go any other way. You really had to go with Bell with all the 201s and everything on the line. I think we did a great job going through it. Yeah, it's really weird how it ended up shaping out there in the end.
So interestingly enough, uh, he started his telecasting career last week as well. He did the Xfinity. Was it last week or was it even just Saturday? Let's see if I remember seeing this. I forgot to mention it. Uh, Xfinity telecast. Uh, I mean, here's like a video on it. But yeah, yeah, he was on the call for the Xfinity race Saturday. So he was actually in the booth calling that race. Interestingly enough, just a side note. Just I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. I didn't really look too much further into it, but I did notice that. So I was like, oh man. So he's also he's got a lot going on. What are the odds that he does calls a race and then wins it the next? Because clearly the Xfinity races are linked to the NASCAR races one way or another. It's just that I certainly haven't gone deep enough to figure out those ties and all the ins and outs of it. But the few times it's been glaringly obvious, it's been glaringly obvious. You have the Suarez win when in Mexico. You have the Larson back, Saturday and Sunday win when his manager dies. You have the Van Gisbergen uh, odd two-peat thing going on where basically where the 88 wins and then he wins so that but yeah, as far as looking into Xfinity, I haven't done so, but to kind of point out what you're talking about, if you guys missed it last week, let's see, December 16th. I mean, check this out. I've never quite uh seen this before. I mean, check out this numerology. Look at this. Like, okay, keep in mind this is a leap year, and this is like the simplest way to track date numerology. So yeah, it's one off, but I mean, 72, 36, 18, 52, 16, 20. Sorry, 54, 34, 34. Like I was saying last week, it's rare that we even see a number the same at all when we're
Yeah,
looking at birthdays compared to the day or the race day or the last win. To have 8 is just or 7, however, yeah, 8 matching date numerology. So I mean, this looked like a Bell win, in the books. And to see how it went, it's really funny because Victor, Mr. Futures, I need to get a little thing for his channel as well because he does sports betting and well, more than sports betting, but primarily sports betting on his through his YouTube, but he also has a Patreon. Anyway, yeah, regular on Zach's channel, cool dude. He put out a really good video. A lot of the times his videos are basically just about his sports bets and things of that nature. But this one was kind of more of an expose because off topic of NASCAR, and I'll try to keep it brief and get it right back to topic. But the what was it? Was it the All-Star game? Yes. It was the All-Star game. Now, I'll try to keep it brief, but this is something that we talk about this a lot, and I'll say it again: the levers of control that they're able to conjure up through rules and all the different layers of the game that have nothing to really do with the sport itself. Men on the field or women uh competing against each other, blood, sweat, and smashing blood, sweat, and tears, whatever sport it is, whether it's baseball, whatever it is. You know, you look at football, boom, it's just like whoever's bigger and better and stronger and wants to go harder should win on average. But is that what happens? Hell no. Hell no, that doesn't happen. And it's obvious, there's so many other factors. Well, those factors is what we try to point out. And so before we get back to the NASCAR and how there's a potential of skewing mid race, and well, I think I'll replay those that replay of the two spin outs, because what are the likelihood, like you said, that you get two spin outs in one race and neither wrecks and you're still there to win at the end? It's just, anyway. But a lot of controversy about the All-Star game, because two or three, or at least Caesar Sportsbook, and I think another major sports book, I don't know if it's DraftKings or not. So basically, what I'll give you a quick summation of this, whatever it is. They went into overtime or extra innings, as you would call it in baseball, but they've decided in 2022 or something like that, the rules committee wanted to try having no extra innings in the All-Star game. Probably whatever, they'll just say it's because of time and restrictions, and it's basically just a big advertisement event. Anyway, it doesn't really mean anything like it used to, even though it was all rigged then too. But so they wanted to cut extra innings from happening the standard way, which is you play, 3 out innings until somebody is winning at the bottom of that frame. Well, instead of doing that, they decided on just a home run off, where you basically just try to hit home runs, and whoever hits, in the same vein, it's like you either hit home runs or you don't. So basically, Kyle Schwarber of the National League ends up winning the game and gets MVP. The catch is, no pun intended, that although two or three major sports books, or at least Caesar's Sportsbook, canceled all bets after it went into extra innings or the home runoff. They said, nope, your bet wasn't on a game that ended in a home runoff. This is, so we're not paying out the winner or the losers. We're, your money back no matter what situation. So that's already kind of fishy. Okay, so that's one thing. But what's interesting about it is, if you had Kyle Schwarber as the MVP, which he did get post game, this is post game, he got MVP, you got paid out. But why was Kyle Schwarber the MVP? Because he had one hit in extra innings that won the game, a home run. So at the same time you are negating the entire game, you're paying out on the MVP. Now, let me ask you this. How many people you think had money? Maybe it was a future, or maybe it was a, multiple bets rolled into one, a parlay with the NL winning. Probably a lot more than anyone had just strictly Kyle Schwarber for MVP. Yet, I bet a select group of people had inside knowledge and made bank on Kyle Schwarber getting MVP. Meanwhile, so it's just, I only bring this up because this was literally last week, July 15th. So 5 days ago at the beginning of the week. And, it just highlights that the fuckery can be at the end of the game. They can do it right in front of your eyes. It doesn't take, and it also, they set the precedent 3 years ago with a story that who the hell is, oh, hey, buddy, at the water cooler, did you hear that baseball wants to eliminate extra innings in the All-Star game? Nobody's talking about that boring crap. That's just right under the radar. No one cares about that, but they'll say, oh, look, we had a committee. We did it. Here's the article. Here's the video footage. Here's the results. Just the same. And we're talking about a sports game. How many people has this affected when they do this with the bureaucratic system, with the actual legal system? some weird law that got set precedent 20 years ago because of some one-off weird case, and now you're the recipient of a fine or something because of that. So it's the same book as the playbook that they're using. I bring that up because once again, let's just quickly watch this. And I was talking with you just briefly before, and I want people to watch this because keep in mind you're driving right now. I'm sure these machines are quite finicky at high speeds. Sure, probably not that finicky because they're high. They're supposed to be insanely good at what they do because they put millions of dollars into these machines, but vehicles. What are the odds that you're the aggressor in bumping and nudging? And we're talking about a front end nudging a back end, and you spin out, not Hamlin. Hamlin, like I would imagine that just from what I understand. First of all, these are not. There's no way these are all wheel drive vehicles. These are front wheel drive, right? Are they all?
I think they're real rear wheel drive.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, rear wheel drive. No. That's what I meant. Rear wheel drive. And so, well, I guess that does play a little bit more. But let me show you the clip because keep in mind he already spun out for actual zero reason. Yeah, of course NASCAR's rear wheel drive. I don't know why I said front wheel drive. So bump, 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 bump. He's on his bumper. And then he takes the inside, and when they get back to the straightaway, watch this. Let's. No, that happens a little quick. Let me make it a little slower. That should be fine. So here they come around the corner. And my only point behind this is why I'm bringing this up is because we have this guy pegged to win this game. I mean, penned in. We didn't just pencil it this week. We penned him in. There's so much to this guy. Not just what I showed, but there's I think it was like Dover, Delaware, and Dover both have ties to either his name or something to do with him. Can't remember, but you have to be there last week. But here we go. Inside position. You tell me. I mean, is this a common tactic to be bumping the outside guy? I can understand why you'd want to bump him out because that's the longer course. You want to keep him up on the course that's longer. The inside track is much shorter. But with him being the aggressor, just the way he spins out, does this look natural? Just that little bump.
Yeah, typically you're not going to get a spin coming off on the straightaway. Like the first one, and it was the exact opposite with the first spin because he was on the high side in the corner. Like, okay, you lose it on the high side in the corner, then how do you lose it here? Or if you lose it here, how did you lose it on the high side in the corner? Like, these are two totally different spins. I mean, if you look at both of them, I mean, how do you possibly get loose in both these areas?
Very quick, but just some bumping, and he just loses it. I mean, he's practically straight. Yet he just spins out.
Yeah.
Like right there. Like, I don't know. That just looks unnatural to me. I mean, Hamlin's car doesn't even move. So it was very minimal, whatever, bumping that they do. And I do realize that they do quite a lot of bumping in NASCAR. The few highlights I've seen, I'm like, oh, so this is extremely common. I did not know that would be such I understand that they're just little plastic kits on top of like supercars, but yeah, I didn't expect there to be so much bumping on with these cars. But yeah, it's kind of cool, honestly. But yeah, I bring this up to point out whatever drive the car is, that really is not the point. The message I'm trying to say is you have a race within, I don't know, where were they at this point? Very near the end did this happen, and which leads to Hamlin winning what was a neck and neck with basically Bell with the inside um, angle, and basically the win is like, unless he does something very impressive, how does he overtake, from that position? But what do? You just spin out. Oh, for no reason. You just spin out and boom, there you go. That opens the door, and it looks, very much natural. I guess you could say. It makes it look very natural. The way that you could usher in a Hamlin to win there. It looks like it was, an error happened. I mean, look at this split. And then keep in mind this split was with Hamlin on the outside. So at the time that happened, he was practically ahead. And so yeah, the reason why, not exactly sure. Like I said, we will take a quick look here at Hamlin's. Obviously, we missed something, obviously. But it's just interesting to me how it had to come down to something like that. Like, so say you've been following us and you're like, it'd be one thing if we were like, Bubba's gonna win this race for sure. Okay, it's like, all right, we missed. But the guy we called, for the reasons we called, loses because he spins out while he's literally winning with like 10 laps to go. Like, and not just winning, but has the clear win ahead of him. In my opinion, if you guys, this isn't not going to be a pit issue. You guys, your cars are ready, where they need to be at this stage of the race. There's not going to be a gas issue. It's not going to be a tire issue. You both are just racing, and it's up to your guys' skill, and you have the inside course and basically the fast track to win that race, but you just spin out. To me, that screams foul play. I just can't see it any other way. And it's just insane that that's the guy we picked to win. And not only did he take second stage, but he was down quite a bit at a certain part of the race too, and he flew all the way up.
Yeah,
Um,
after that first spin, because that's what I saw. He was up front all race. The first stage, he finished second or third, and then he finished second or third that first stage, and then the second stage he won. It was right after he won stage two that it was the start of the last stage, and then he ends up spinning out that first time there on the high side, and that's what put him back. And then he fell way back. He never really recovered after that. And that was after that happened. I mean that spin didn't look natural at all either. That looked totally strange and fabricated. Then I just thought at that point, I'm like, well, I don't know. Now he's back there, and and it was so weird for him to spin and not hit anything or get hit. And then that after that, I mean, that there was that caution for rain there towards the end, and uh, and that happened when he got back up front to the lead, and that's what I thought. I'm like, well, okay, he had the spin, he got put back, but okay, now it looks like they're chalking it up for him. He's in the lead, he takes first. Caution comes out for rain. Looks like everything's going according to plan. Yeah, and those pit stops, and then he ends up coming out second. Hamlin comes out ahead, and then with him being second, Hamlin ahead, and then that the second spin, it's just yeah. I mean, there's no way. I mean, if you watch the race and you watch the way it all played out and looked at everything that we did, especially with the numbers and the way the race was coming together, that I mean, you would have went any other way. I mean, it looked like it was going to be Christopher Bell all day. And what was really weird is if you even look at the highlights, it's showing his car. Why would it show his car when he didn't even win the race? Usually the highlights always show the winning car most of the time, or usually it's gonna be the winning car. I mean, or like the main guy. It's like, so why would it just show Christopher Bell um for the highlights? Why would it just show his car? I mean, that just shows you right there. Like it was his day. It was meant for him. Like this was his moment. And
this one
yeah,
right here was right after the race, and look at what the infograph or the picture they use. Hopefully, you guys can somewhat see that, but that's Bell right there, and there's his car spinning out. And this is like right after the race. It's not Denny Hamlin like celebrating. It's not like, they chose to use. It's almost like a shaming ritual. Doesn't it almost have that kind of tone to it? Don't forget, this is the guy they used for that Shriners 400 race. Um, a lot. We talked about how Bell is iconography, very popular iconography in masonry, and he was obviously a part of what seemed to be a Hiram Abiff ritual in NASCAR, which sounds crazy, but I still talk about this race because it's so funny. I was talking to my brother-in-law about it too, because I was telling him all about this stuff, and because he used to pay attention to NASCAR. So I was telling him, about all the 201s, and Chris Bell probably going to win this next race just because I wanted to, get ahead of it with him. But I was talking to him about how Chris Bell had his three-peat, and about how in the Shriners 400, of course, Shriners are master masons, and they're either active or inactive, former master masons or current master masons that third to third degree that take on philanthropy and do their stupid little clown parades and stuff like that. But among other things, so basically, it's a Masonic race. And who do you have crash that race? You remember? You got Bubba and Leggy get mixed
Yeah.
up. The one woman and the one black guy crash together in the race about Freemasonry. I mean, you can't script this stuff. I mean, if anyone's confused, Freemasonry was only included for white men for much of its inception, and even up until now, I think at the upper echelons you'll find that those things might deteriorate a little bit, but I almost put I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that there's a pecking order and they're not the black guys at the top. Let me just put it that way. I'm sure that there are high ranking black Freemasons. I'm sure they've allowed it that far at this point. But so yeah, obviously you have Prince Hall Freemasonry, which is like the four, black people wanted Freemasonry so bad that the bourgeoisie, they've been coined, or the learned Negroes they like to call them, formed their own kind of Freemasonry. They like demanded they get chartered, and then of course you have the Order of the Eastern Star, which is for women supposedly. Even though the one Order of the Eastern Star in Portland that I used to drive by all the time on my way to work, if I went the back way, right next to a fire station as usual. The only time I ever saw people in their gated parking lot were men in kilts, just tons of men in all wearing kilts. So very strange. But yeah, they used Chris Bell. Why I bring up the whole masonry aspect is the idea that this could be a shaming ritual. Also, I do want to say I told my brother-in-law that either Chris Bell is going to win or die. So it's kind of funny that he crashed out twice and lost, because it's not like he just lost, inconspicuously. That's what I was I'm too long-winded with what I say, but that's what I basically meant to say, is that it's not like he just lost inconspicuously. He was winning and lost and had a great race and still lost when that was, to us a clear choice for the win. But I guess now we'll look at a good old Denny Hamlin. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I agree. And it's like I said, I mean, how even this, like I said, even in the highlights, so I watched the 10-minute highlight reel on the race, and that's, they got his car right on front, Christopher Bell in the Ream car. Like, you'd have thought by looking at that, like, oh, he must have won the race. He must have won. Right,
Yep.
then you look at it and it's like, well, why would you put him on the front? But then you look at everything we've been talking about. It's like, maybe, I don't know, was he supposed to win, or what is this? I mean, yeah, this race to me is just bizarre. I mean, I mean, a lot of the races lately have been bizarre, especially with the Van Ginsberg taking over and him exploding, coming out of nowhere, and just total domination. But then this one here, just you couldn't have been any more about it. You couldn't have thought it was gonna play out any more than it possibly could have, and then it just ends up going like this. It's just, I mean, and we've had some that we're pretty clear cut, and there was 201s, or
Of course.
there was other ones where there was good. So I mean, it could have been, like I said, maybe it was supposed to be Bell, but things just didn't work out or play out, or they couldn't get the outcome they wanted, or whatever. But I don't know,
Or
because the spins
or
just looked too weird, too strange to me.
or the money on the race was moving a little too much.
Yeah, $10
Like,
paid out 100, so it was a pretty good
oh,
payout for starting third. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. I didn't imagine that. Oh, I thought it would, because mentioned earlier before we started, I was like, when I saw he pulled three, third, I was like, oh, okay. So they're giving you a little consolation prize for getting Bell hit this win. You're not going to get paid out that much if he wins, but never mind. I'll eat my words on that. So potentially, a lot of people saw that Bell they're sitting there and said, wow, 110 times. Okay. I'll slap, easy. How many $5 went on to him? Just because that seems like a great for your money kind of bet.
Yeah, for a third place, that's what I mean. Like every week, it's really interesting how these payments are paid out for these races. I mean, you could pick someone that kind of starts up front and it's really good. I know the Daytona 500 pays out really well. Certain races pay out really well, and it's like certain weeks you pick someone, that you could have put $10 on that started, maybe fifth or 10th or something, and it also pays out like $100. So it's kind of weird how they do it. Sometimes, the person you pick and then where they start, it's sometimes not what you think it's going to be. So you have to always kind of go back and keep checking to see what they actually do pay out for these, which I always thought is interesting. Yeah, I don't even know if you would have put 10 on Chase Elliott or anybody else that qualified in the top five, what it would have paid out. Like it just varies every single week. Some weeks there's good payouts, other weeks there's not. So it's just they just keep changing it up.
Yeah, so kind of like going off what I was saying before, could that have been? They make movies out of this concept, and that you hear about these types of things where you're riding high, no pun intended, but and then without warning they pull the rug out. In movies it'll be like, let's say it's a mafia movie. They'll ship you your cousin's finger or something. Something. You will have no indication that you're in any kind of under any kind of uh I can't think of the word right now, but basically what I'm getting across is that it's like art. It's similar to like witnessing the back room at a party. You know what I'm talking about? These Hollywood celebrity parties. These back rooms are there in order to trap you. If you go into that room and you are not running out calling the cops, you're in that room. You've now accepted what's going on, and that's the agreement. They got cameras on you. The cameras are there. You see what's going on, and you've accepted that contract, and you're like, okay, for the things that this can get me, I will, be part of the club. In that same way, is this kind of like a forced way of doing that? Because like I said, it looked very unnatural. Now, obviously, these are talented drivers, regardless of the rigging. I'm sure they could drive circles around any modern person, but or average person. But do you think there was a potential that it wasn't user error and that he had a defective part this week, or like something that even remote controlled? And guys, come on, I don't even want to hear it. Listen, if NASCAR wanted to control the race, do you think it's like who looks at the cars after every race? The NASCAR. They go and say, "Oh, hey, this restrictor plate was 3 inches to the left or 3 centimeters off. You're getting fined." It's like I've read article after article about that, but they'd be the same ones that could easily have some sort of remote controlled thing inside these cars. Would you really be surprised to find out half the cars aren't remote control driven? Anyway, never mind that. But my point behind it is, really just the idea that because I feel like he's tied to masonry, not necessarily that he like I said, this could just be a shaming ritual in order to, propel him further because he's clearly going to the playoffs. He's clearly, having a great season. What have we noticed with that with when you're riding high, you got to pay a price for it. You got to pay the piper.
Yeah, I mean, and I think of that too. Like, with these cars and the technology and stuff too, how much of we know the race and the manipulation and the rigging, but I mean it's just like all the other sports with the technologies and whether they're using magnets or they got something in the your gloves or in the
Mhm.
ball or just out like what they do like for even field goal kicks or just probably the stuff they have in the football, to hit certain targets or, um, certain things where oh, you're gonna have to drop this pass, so they'll make the pass. If even hit you perfect, you're not gonna be able to catch it, or you'll catch it no matter what, or whatever. So I think that 100% is what they got with the cars. I mean, it's like when you look at like the Dale Earnhardt, rig death, how they put that one together and set that one up. I mean, there was a lot that went into that. These other ones as well. Um, Especially now. I mean, it's just with just technology and things getting easier to control and easier to manipulate. I mean, in the way the cars are. I mean, um, yeah, a lot easier to manipulate stuff. I mean, it's and I obviously sometimes they'll give people like an unfair advantage or whatever. Maybe that's probably what they're doing for Shane Van Gisbergen on the road courses or whatever. But um, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, is it are they doing something to, mechanically make that happen, or are they just pressing a button, or is it what exactly is and then like are the cars just like magnets to make sure like they're not hitting each other and they're able to stay off each other? Like some of these wrecks you see, it's like how did the whole field crash and this one guy just like makes it through unscathed? Like how is it even possible? It's like um or just like the way a car will like go into a wall, just like drive by like half the field, just like going faster into the wall. It's like what how is it even possible? Then um yeah, it's like how certain people can just like dodge wrecks, miss wrecks, or just whatever. It's just that's just what the level of manipulation and rigging and the technology, maybe in the cars or um whatever they can use to get certain outcomes or make certain things happen. Uh, there's no doubt that they're definitely there's things like that. I mean, and this is probably one of them too, where um, I mean, it may have been like something where maybe they told them hey, we need you to spin out twice, or this is how. I mean, it's hard to say what if you got a skit going into a race like this, hey, you're gonna be leading twice in this same spot, but one time you're going to be going for the win down low, the other time you're going to be up high after you win stage two, and you're gonna spin out in these spots, and it's just like how I said, how when the rain came that little bit there towards the end, and the race was delayed there a bit. I mean, the caution came out. I mean, look who's leading. I mean, really, the rain's gonna hit when he's leading, and that's gonna be the caution right there. I mean, it's just the way they time it out and when they're gonna do stuff. I mean, um, yeah, it's just amazing. And then you look at how many of these races have played out. This year. And like I said, I mean, I've never seen a race that really looked quite like this one. And the race was pretty clean. Like I said, there wasn't really, I mean, generally Dover, a lot of times you'll get kind of bigger wrecks or a big wreck or something because this generally, the way the track is and, someone wrecks, it can take out a lot of people. But I mean, really clean, smooth race. Even the spins were very clean and smooth, which is very rare at this place. So yeah, definitely, just a very weird vibe and definitely something to look forward to. I think they might go back to Dover. I can't remember if they race there twice a year or they used to race there twice a year. I don't know if they still do, but it's going to be interesting if they do go back there. What happens next time?
Definitely could be a narrative for a showdown next time. Maybe Bell takes it at that point, but in the background, I was kind of doing a little a little digging here, and I do see that from his birthday to today's race, or to his next birthday from today, it's 121 days. And Joe Gibbs Racing is 121. I see that 67 too. I just had a 67. I don't remember exactly where it was. Um, gosh, my I feel like I was looking at Christopher Bell, but I don't remember where that's 7 was. Oops. I remember where I got that 67 at. Anyway. And this was so it was Dover Downs, right? It used to form a racetrack, horse racing.
It used to be called Dover Downs.
I don't know if you noticed, he was in the progressive car, Hamlin,
Yeah.
and progressive and Jesuit order have a little bit of an overlap there. 153, 144.
I think he won Michigan the progressive car. He's I think he's won, or no, he was in the Yahoo one for that one. I think he's won the progressive this year though too.
Yeah, from his last win, June 8th. Yeah, you're right. The Yahoo. That's what's so good about this with when you're looking at their wins is comparing the wins. Of course, this is after the fact. Kind of want this before somewhere nice and neat, but whatever. So yeah, June 8th. I had that pulled up. So from his last win, it's 42 days. Okay. 159th day of the year. 6 weeks on the nose. So yeah, I mean, other than the Joe Gibbs racing thing, and wait, did I mention? Hold on, I might not even. I was talking to you earlier, but a kind of a continuation of this drama with Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan and 23XI Racing, and is that they're no longer have charter status. Their motion was denied in court, and supposedly, man, this is gonna muddle. You know, you look up Denny Hamlin 4 hours ago, and there was nothing. Wasn't about him winning, so there was a lot more about the Christopher Bell. Disappointed in myself. Yahoo, this world. Uh, yeah, defiant Denny Hamlin says all will be exposed at trial after losing NASCAR charters. Let's take a peek at this a little bit. On Thursday, the courts. I'll read it for you guys. So I guess I'll make it a little bigger. On Thursday, the courts denied 23XI Racing and Front Row. That's the other one. Motorsports request for a temporary restraining order that would have prevented NASCAR from taking their charters back. As a result, all 6 cars belonging to 23XI and FRM are racing as open entries. So that's Reddick, Hamlin, Bubba. I think Chastain. Was that Chastain too? Front Row. Oh, well. We'll see if it lists them all. Anyway, Hamlin was defiant in a Saturday press conference, making it clear that there are no plans for a settlement in this contentious lawsuit against NASCAR and the France family. Oh, is that Bill France? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so maybe we'll have to look into him because I want to look him up. Yeah, Bill France. Oh, so Jim France, his son, it looks like is the so Jim France. Okay, maybe it's worth looking into this guy. Got the 44, and that's how old Hamlin is right now.
Yep.
So would not be surprised that this guy's got a collection of rings that aren't wedding rings, if you know what I mean. He's only worth 1.8 billion though, so small fry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously interesting name, France, and we talk about the Jesuit order just just about every episode, and kind of goes hand in hand with that. Of course, you had Pope Francis as well, so they pay their homage. Well, maybe we'll look into him on a upcoming episode, especially with this going on. But let me read just a teeny bit more of this so you can get the idea, or I could just elaborate. Um, I've been mentioning since I found out about this whole lawsuit thing. Not only did he go on a two-peat, which really looked like a three-peat once again. That was another one that had a three-peat screaming all over it, and of course it didn't end up that way. Wasn't it an oddball that won that week rather than Hamlin? But even then, Hamlin was there at the very end too. It was another one very strange. But we called the two-peat, and it really looked like he would win a third. But this was like really at the heat, at the climax in court, um, between him and Jordan's team and Front Row Motorsports suing NASCAR for chartered status. We went over this on previous episodes. Feel free to catch up on those. I'm not exactly sure when they happened, but that's why it pays to stick with us each week. But for thrilling NASCAR news. But it's pretty evident, with the 2020 hindsight goggles on, that there's clear ritualism. I mentioned then that they could use this lawsuit as a way to propel Denny Hamlin as the veteran to kind of give it like a first of all, the story writes itself. You're losing court and you win that week. So it's just like F you NASCAR. Look at, I'm still here, bro. What are you gonna do about me? I'm still gonna be winning races. So now you're gonna have, you know, I think from what I understood, it's kind of like it works against NASCAR's like end goal monetarily to have a bunch of unchartered drivers. They prefer to have you have chartered status, which is basically like a built-in status, like you're paid in type of deal. It's almost like not subscription, but it's not a subscription. I went more in depth with it, but even then, I guess I still don't really 100% understand it. But that's kind of my take on it. So you have them basically losing charter status. So they're like basically saying they're not in the club as much as they just were, and this is including Michael Jordan too. So this is high profile stuff, and yet he wins that week. The injunction got denied, and now they're basically threatening a larger injunction or lawsuit, saying they have a bunch of dirt on the ins and outs of this. So something's still coming. I've been highlighting this, and it's been quite a large story within NASCAR, and that's almost more interesting me than the cars going fast. But there's definitely more to come on this. You think so too? Like this isn't the end of the story. That there's going to be some blow up, and that's going to be for a reason. There's going to be some rules change. Something's coming out of this.
Yeah, and in way Hamlin's been performing too. I mean, he's got 4 wins this season. He came in with 54. He's at 58 now, so he might hit 60 wins by the end of the season. I mean, he got the 54, the 55, 56, 57, 58. Yeah, very high percentage chance that he gets the 59 or possibly 60 this year. Especially with the races remaining, I'm sure he'll win again. And two, I mean, maybe, like I said, he hasn't won the championship yet. He's been in there for a very long time. He's never won it. Maybe this is his year where he does win it, or maybe he makes to the final four. Maybe he's got a shot at the championship. It's gonna be real interesting to see what happens to him the rest of the year. It's good, yeah. I mean, and he's got his teammate Bell. I mean, him and Bell, and then Briscoe as well. Let's see, yeah, Joe Gibbs and all that, and Hamlin. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how all of that plays out. Especially with Hamlin kind of being, I mean, you've had Kyle Busch. I mean, he's been around a long time as well, but he's kind of, he doesn't really win anymore. Doesn't really do much, but he's still there. So maybe he does get a win or something too. It's hard to say what his protocol is. Same thing with people like kind of Brad Keselowski. But yeah, besides those guys, I mean, those are the guys that have been around the longest. Logano's been around a long time too, but um, yeah, Hamlin's just been around such a long time, hasn't won a championship. You got to wonder, is this is last year in Cup with saying he's going to Xfinity and stuff, and then um, all this news and stuff. So you do have a lot of distractions and side stories and things like that buzzing. So yeah, I think that it's gonna be real interesting to see where he is. Where well, by the time the playoffs start in 2 months, come September, and then of course, uh, less than 4 months from now, in the very beginning of November, when the season comes to an end. Um,
Oh, really? So right near his birthday.
yeah, yeah, it's right before. It's usually like November 5th, like the first week in November. So yeah, it is right before his birthday, because then he turns 45.
45.
Yeah.
And speaking of his birthday, so like I highlighted 120 days like Joe Gibbs Racing, look at this quote. This is something I totally missed. All I can tell you, and this will be my blanket answer for all questions about this, is if you want answers, you want to understand of all of why this is happening. Listen to me. I'm sorry. You might say, "Oh, the context is about the court case." I don't care. I read a quote like this, it's like he's talking to me about somebody who knows. Like I'm looking into why this is happening, not for what they're telling me why it's happening, but I'm looking into it. And he's like, "You want to know? You want to know? Here's my blanket answer. All of why this is happening come December 1st." How could you write December 1st as a date? Would it ever be 1/2/1? Like 121? Like Joe Gibbs Racing? Like and you say, "Oh, where does Joe Gibbs Racing have to do with this?" How about his quote? Joe Gibbs Racing. It doesn't say Joe Gibbs. It doesn't say good old Joe Dog. So this is like, I'm telling you, this is almost feels like extreme, not extreme proof, but it feels like more proof that these articles are coded. Probably AI
Oh
written,
yeah.
and these articles are coded for the race. And if you have the goggles on, if you have the betting, the red and blue 3D goggles on, you can basically see the hidden script and know who to bet on if you're in the loop. And you have, extreme cases where you have extremely talented decoders in the community. I mentioned Victor and obviously Zach, who, they basically have the red and blue movie goggles. I'll just call them the 3D goggles. But yeah, they are able to, at a high rate predict these things based on these articles and things of that nature. And yeah, this is just another thing where I didn't see until just now. I actually did see this. It's my own fault for not reading it all the way through, because this is such a like definitive statement made by him with this definitive date. And if I would have saw that and potentially ran that, that would have been, I'd be like, oh, I would have said Chris Bell's winning this race too. So don't take that. I can't take that back. This is thoroughly, I'm surprised. And I think we've been pretty succinct on our potential reasoning why he didn't win. I truly, from what I can see, the two spinouts, this was a look what we could do at the snap of a fingers type of race. Imagine if those cars were right behind you. You might not be walking out of this off this course. You get a bad enough race. I mean, those things we've all seen. We're due. We're right. We've talked about this multiple times. We're due a bad wreck. We're due. They love sprinkling one of those in every once in a while to remind you and to usher in new guidelines and more restrictions and more things. So we're definitely due. And with the way he was racing too, so aggressive, it would be one of those things where it would the stories would say that he brought it upon himself, basically. So it's not like Denny Hamlin would he'd say that right there, that spin out ended up with Chris Bell getting really hurt, or like I posited just days before, that he was either going to win or die. um Say he did die or get really injured, you're guaranteed you're going to get statements from Denny Hamlin saying like, oh man, he would, oh, I regret bumping with him and everything like that. I feel really bad. You'd get that statement. But at the same time, it would be video evidence that Chris Bell was the aggressor. They love doing that kind of thing. Anyway, So, there'd be an air. It's like, yeah, you feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, you realize that, he kind of brought it upon himself, so to speak. Um, when in reality, like we talked about, they have he's sitting there driving and his car just turns and he's not spinning the wheel. And he's just like, what the hell? And then, who knows, in his locker in the garage, there's a note. And you know what I'm saying? These are movie scripts. You guys, if you guys are following me, I'm talking about like a movie script that I'm talking about a generic formula that you've seen in 50 movies. They do this kind of thing where like something crazy happens to the star or the actor that lets them know that the hidden hand needs your acknowledgement and needs your they're gonna show their hand, their how easily they can manipulate your life and no one will believe you. They like to use like the cops in movies. It's like you run to the cops, but the cops the bad, he's not on your side. He'll give you a hint to say like, yo, you ran to the wrong people. We're just as, we're we're with that organization. So I really do think this was kind of a tipping of the hand in potentially. And but at the very least, there was definite signs, not only with the kind of calling to a head this whole, or at least a deliberation, because now you see that it's not until December, the end of the year, that this will go reach a court again. So there's going to be a long lull in between then. But that just this week, the major headlines were about the injunction being denied and all that stuff. So you could see that, yeah, maybe they were using that midweek news in order to, maybe that's where the ritual really was, or the backup ritual, I almost want to say, because Zach's proved these things are double and triple coded sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and then the way the race, like I said, I really think when they're really like choreographing and setting this all up too is, like I said, when that rain came in and they had that extra time, because it was so weird. Just it's so weird when rain like comes in like that with like just 10 laps to go. It's like, or 15 laps to go. It's like the race is almost over now. It's like they had to have that come in and that happen, and set up more and have more time to uh, set the stage and get what they really wanted out of this, and maybe set up this situation, and um, just get the outcome a little bit more crisp. I mean, it was just very interesting race to watch it play out. Um, yeah, I forget which race is up next week, but
Take a look.
yeah, definitely going to be interesting if they do end up going back to Dover. I forget if it's still 2 races a year, if it's just down to one now, but
Indy, not the Indy 500, sorry, but the Brickyard 400
the
at
Brickyard.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I mean, talk about 201. We're right back to another 201.
Yeah.
Indianapolis 201. I want to get your just a quick take on it, because before I lose this train of thought. But am I already losing it? Oh man, I don't remember what I was going to ask. Shoot. Anyway, man. Oh, that's bogus. That's crazy how the mind works. It was just I was sitting there focusing on it, and then the minute I stopped focusing on it, it's might as well never been there. Anyway, if it comes back, it'll come back. Um, yeah, Indianapolis. I'll show you guys here. Indianapolis 201.
123, the conspiracy.
Very true. I mean, uh, we're at Chaos 75. It's Chaos. Sometimes I can't remember what Chaos is. Chaos has the 26. That's right. Oh, that's right. So, like you said, it was on the back of you saying the whole rain delay, or the rain with 10 laps to go. Now, say you were a fan of NASCAR in the way that a common fan was, would you not? There's 10 laps to go. The course could become dangerous, and as a normal fan, not saying to continue the race, but even there could be residue, or maybe the cars got wet. Anyway, would you rather them have a long delay and then finish 10 laps where they all have to line back up and it's not the same as where they just were before the caution came out? Or would you just say there was only 10 laps left? All the drivers were racing their hardest. So wherever they were at with 10 laps to go, that's about where they should have finished. And let's call the race there. Isn't that more of a fair outcome than stopping the race with 10 laps to go and lining them all up and saying, oh, go ahead?
Yeah, and that was the thing when I was listening to it on the way home. That's all I was hearing was when that rain came and when that was going down, because they're like, well, I don't know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna finish the race, or they're gonna just say it's done, or are they gonna go back racing? And then they're like, yeah, and they're like, well, you got to think about the fans, and you got to think about all the the people and the time and how much daylight's left, and um just all these things. They're like going through it. They're like, yeah, it should be interesting to see what they decide to do. I mean, it was really interesting because at that point, I think Hamlin just took the lead off pit road. So I think Hamlin was
Mhm.
just ahead at when the caution came out. It was Bell, but then that was when the rain came. So Bell was leading when that rain came, and then I think that the pit stop happened. Hamlin was in the lead when the rainstorm came through. Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Like, yeah, yeah, what is NASCAR going to do? Or because they said something, that they took the trophy and they took it like they were acting like it was the end of the race or something. And then they're like, oh no, we're gonna go back green. We're gonna finish this one, or we're gonna finish out the race. We're gonna just dry the track, and we're gonna get back to it. So it was kind of weird, like how it was kind of up in the air. Like, oh, is the race just gonna be done? Or are we finished? Do we want to keep going? Like, you could kind of see the manipulation right there,
Mhm.
panning out. They said they were like taking the trophy and like moving it around, um like they were getting ready to call it, but then they decided to go back racing. And it was weird too, like how the little storm just came through with like 15 to go, and then it just kind of got everything wet. And it was kind of rainy for like 10 minutes. Then like the sun came back out, and um, everything just dried right off. But yeah, they were like talking about like the fans, and um, like people that they were talking about some other things too. I forget what they said, but like people trying to get out or something, or what they were going to do, or how they were going to handle things. And yeah, just a whole
Mhm.
interesting level of way to add in this either manipulation, or just uh add this whole new level of just like, oh, look at this, look what we can do with that, like, oh well, now we can, now because of this. It's like, so I thought that was really interesting too. I mean, just the whole race, how it played out, and just yeah, very. And then too, I mean, I don't know, like these other races, there's been a lot of rain lately too, like kind of coming in here at the end of these races, or um like as these races are finishing too. So that's should be interesting to see if that does play more of a factor into the races remaining in the season. Like maybe a race gets rained out, it gets moved to a Monday, or maybe even a Tuesday or something, because
Mm,
that can change things up too if it
of course.
moves a different day or something. So yeah, it's very very interesting, these types of deals. You never know how they're going to go.
I remember that 67 too. It was how many laps he led, Christopher Bell. So if anyone was paying attention to before, uh, wherever that 67 was, that's how my brain works, and it doesn't work. Um, so yeah, we got the Brickyard. If we look at driver averages, it's like Larson having already won there. Guy's the best one. But rounding out everyone who top fived in it, you have Bubba Wallace. There's Bell again, Blaney, Reddick. So pretty star-studded top five as far as this I guess they haven't raced at this particular course every year.
Yeah, the Brickyard, they've been going there every year since '94.
Oh, well, I guess these stats are just weird. It says they've only raced there one time, but it says since 2022, so there might just be some weirdness as far as the way they set up their stats this week, because it's certainly not like this normally. So maybe we'll have to look elsewhere. But let's take a Kyle Larson since we're in Indian. Let's highlight the 201s. God forbid it's another Van Gisbergen out of nowhere.
Ginsbergen finally does it on the oval.
So
Yeah, that was like
interestingly
Paul
enough,
Menard when he got his first and only win at the Brickyard. It could be a ridiculous story like that. Like, oh my God, look at this guy this weekend. Just never seen him do so good.
well, looks like Larson's last win was in Indianapolis. I should say, not. I guess it wasn't at. Or no, sorry, not Indianapolis. Sorry. Yeah, those stats are weird. Yeah, I don't know what those stats were showing. I think they're kind of messed up. Anyway, his last win was in Kansas, so May 11th. Let's take a look at good old Kyle Miata Larson.
Crazy he hasn't won over 2 months. Felt like he just won not long ago.
That'd be the days slipping away. Got the 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6. We've noticed that quite a few times in NASCAR rituals. Last one was the 131st. This next one's the 208th day of the year, obviously. 28's an interesting number. Has that God code kind of thing going on. Which also, 77 days, sevens are associated with God and angels. And just so you guys know why I call him Mr. 201, one of the Mr. 201s, his name is a good old 201. I mean, just these names, they just write themselves. Like, Miata's your middle name. Get out of here, bro. Get the hell out of here. I'm Chase. I'm Miata. It's just like, I'm Carson. It's like, yo, chill. You guys got any?
You need a Miata. You'd be driving one.
Yeah, I know. When are they gonna? You got to put some convertibles in here. And then we see some real carnage when they crash. That'll jump the ratings up. Oh my God, he flew out of his Miata. Oh my God, he's all over the track. All right, sorry. So apparently, this little byway or town they've created with the Brickyard and other racetracks in Indianapolis, they're saying is the fatherland of racing. It's called Speedway Indianapolis or Speedway IN. Like that's how they wrote it. Just interesting that they have that 121 again. So look out for Gibbs. I think that I'm actually going to write that down. I need to start doing this. I used to do this all the time. That's all I used to do. When I first got into decoding, I just had my notebook and I just wrote all sorts of things down so I knew reference points. I don't do that anymore. I rely on my brain way too much. I think we both and everybody just saw how that's not as reliable as I think it is. I'm sitting here. What was I gonna say?
Yeah.
So yeah, 121 is Joe Gibbs' number. But apart from that, I mean, is that not the America numbers too? 49 and 50 like America. You don't say.
America.
So 201 town. I'm gonna do it. Let's take a look at good old Mr. Dead Last. Doesn't it just feel like everything's right again? Remember, it was not that long ago we were just joking about this guy. Well, he's 3 wins later. He's back to dead last. Just feels right, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He qualified 6th for Dover. He actually had a good qualifying spot.
Oh, he's been qualified. I mean, by the end of it, you might find out that maybe that's one of the narratives with him too. Is he'll say he had such a great season because he was just qualifying like crazy, like really well. Like qualifying is interesting. It's definitely a lever they use to control these things. 100%, obviously. It's probably their first arm in setting. Obviously, it's their first arm in setting like the bets and the wagers for that week's races. Um, but on top of that, narrative wise, I'm sure they can build up. This guy's a great qualifier. He really puts his teams in great positions, and these garages just love the way he qualifies. All right, I think I remember this guy. Oh yeah, May 9th. Oh wow, not that far from Larson's last win. From his birthday to next is 79 days. To his next birthday is going to be quite a while. Oh yeah, interesting. His birthday's that's right. His birthday's the 129th day of the year too. I think we mentioned that. But on top of his name being 201, he's got the base 8 201 right in there too.
Big fan.
Nothing jumps up. Yeah, van. It's like, come on, guys. What else? I'm I'm Jeff Wheelie. It's like, bro, get out.
I'm Tim Truckee.
You bastard. How dare you? That was good. Who did you? Kyle Busch. We ever highlight a Busch? Hold on. Before we do that, let's stay the course. If for lack of a better term, where is? Let's look at this track a little bit closer. Let's see if there's anything. Sometimes there's something with the track that stands out. Pretty nice looking.
Yeah, this is either the 32nd or 33rd race of. Because I think it might be the 32nd because the first one was in '94. That was the first race there.
I think it might have it here. Can't you look up tracks? That's not what this is.
I think it's the 32nd Brickyard 400, but I could be wrong. It could be the 33rd. Because '94 was 31 years ago. So I think it'd be 32.
It's just in last 36 races. But that might just be the metric they use, so it might be less than 36. It's not gonna. Oh, so even what the hell? Oh, at the last 36 overall. Yeah, I don't know how to find how many races at this track. on this website yet. There probably is. And like I said, this doesn't look right. This just look like from this year. So anyway, I don't get. You're right. It's 94. So I don't know. Doesn't say exactly how many races there are, or maybe it does.
Yeah,
And
I
I just
think it'd
don't.
be the 30. I think it'd be the 32nd race. I think next year would be the 33rd.
Okay, that's good to
Because
know.
94 would have been the first, 95 would have been the second.
The math checks out. Oh, let's see. Speedway, Indiana. That's right. Hmm. Got some fun Illuminati numbers in there.
Yep.
Of course, the 84 as well. What was I guess I can. Any other? Let's see. Why do I keep getting rid of the NASCAR tab? Whoops. Carl G. Fisher. After, so this guy started in France. Interesting. France seems to be a theme in NASCAR with the current owners. Fisher began thinking of a better means of testing cars before delivering them to consumers. At the time, racing was just getting started on horse tracks and public roads. Fisher noticed how dangerous and ill suited the makeshift courses were for racing and testing. He also argued that spectators did not get their money's worth, as they were able to get only a brief glimpse of cars speeding down. That was a racket back in the day. Pay up, pay up. You just get to see a car every few minutes or every couple of minutes. What's happening? Hey, buddy, what's happening down there? You see it? You see it any better than I do? Huh? Oh, yeah, I see it, bud. Oh, but now I lost it. It's coming back to you. You tell me what's happening now. It was a better time. Carl Graham Fisher.
The
I'll throw
French
him.
Fisher.
I'll throw him in there. I'll throw his ass right in there. That 84. It's a beautiful number. Speedway, Indiana equals 84. What about got that 54 and 63? Like Jesuit order. Homie rocked like sorry, the 54, like Jesuit order.
The brickyard. Time to kiss the bricks.
Kiss my bricks. Uh, Look at that stud. All right. William Henry France. Yo.
There's too many Williams.
I mean, I get the William with his name being William, but William Henry? And is William Henry Getty? That's like way too close to William Henry Gates. But anyway, Jesus. Big Bill. Billy. Look at these glasses, dude. He was getting no tail back in the day with those things on. I say.
Especially with that stoic look on his face.
Why, you're too serious, Carl. Oh, well, how can I be? The cars, I can't see the cars for half the race. Lighten up. We're on a date. But look at me. No, I can't, Trudy. The race. I'm out of here. Sorry, I don't know why I was doing that. I'm sorry.
We got to kiss the bricks, you know. You got to kiss the bricky.
What? Kiss the bricks? Why, that's a perfect idea. The brickyard. That's what I'll call it. Yeah. I'll use my absorbent amounts of inheritance and do whatever I want as I normally do. Yard of bricks. Yeah, I think yard of bricks. This doesn't ring. Yard of bricks. Welcome to the yard of bricks. Sounds like when I first started playing basketball in the backyard.
59. Could Denny Hamlin get his 59th win?
That's very interesting. Could that be the key? It's
Freemasonry 58, 59. He
mhm.
did his 59th. That was 58.
I was going to mention that when you mentioned the 58, but now that the 59th's there, and guys, obviously we don't have like this overwhelming proof or anything like that, but we've mentioned Denny Hamlin and Freemasonry coming up all the time. Not only do you have Hamlin equals 33, you got let's see, Gibbs 33, Joe Gibbs, his team, and I think when we talked about the odds of him being involved with Freemasonry, it was in association with Joe Gibbs. So also keep in mind, they have the one of their favorite types of ritualism this year with Denny Hamlin. He just gave birth to a son.
Yep.
So they love using. Man, it's a sick world we live in. If you know what I mean by that. But I think we'll get it. Maybe we'll get into the ins and outs of these secret societies and their birthing rituals some other day. But yeah, anything glaring at you without going? I didn't see a whole lot between those two drivers. I don't know. Maybe there's something else to it. I would say, just on that, just over on the overview, just because we've gone on quite a while on this, is look out for Larson. I really only based that on the 201, but it is interesting that he's I don't know if it's bugged out, that NASCAR stats or whatever, but he has, I guess, the most recent win there. So there's that factor as well. And if you think that that doesn't factor in, well, we're now in a season that has three two-peats, uh, three drivers with, or four drivers with three wins or more. So it's definitely, if you thought it wasn't going to happen, it definitely can, in my opinion. The wins should be much more spread out than they are, but there's obviously some sort of narrative they're driving out for the playoffs with how clustered these wins are. So yeah, any last words on NASCAR, or should we move it along?
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. I know, with it being like the second biggest race of the year, the Coke 600 was like third biggest race and the biggest, the Daytona 500. So yeah, maybe watch out for like Ross Chastain again, maybe, or maybe like a William Byron or a Ryan Blaney, someone that maybe has only won once this year. Still a lot of guys haven't won as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be a race where, like I said, you just kind of see that driver pop up that gets that win finally that maybe they've never won, or maybe it's like Ty Gibbs, who's been just consistently been top 5, top 10 every week. Maybe they decide to give it to him finally. I know Reddick still hasn't won, and we had a little bit of stuff on him for Dover too. He had
Mhm.
some good numbers too, but didn't really do anything with the race, even though he started fourth right behind Bell. So yeah, the Brickyard should be interesting. That should be a real interesting one to watch that one play out. As of right now, I don't really not really too much seems to go off on, but yeah, maybe watch out for maybe a Hamlin repeat or something.
That'd be interesting. I mean, the 33 isn't, the masonry's there, and Jesuits and Masons, they're almost hand in hand, and so yeah, I'll definitely look out for that, and maybe I'll try to keep my nose to the grindstone on a couple of these things that pop up in the middle of the week, and get back to you. Or if I see something crazy, I'll make a community post or something like that. But until then, the main topic of our, or almost feels like might be the subtopic of this episode, um, is fear. And everybody has had to confront fear in one way or another. And like I said in the intro, these it can show up in the micro and in the personal, or in the macro, and in things that are out of your control. And one of those things that is out of the common person's control is always war. And throughout, or military conflict, just things of that nature. um of course, we have war being pretty much our whole lives. I think there was maybe a golden era, I guess the 90s. But as soon as the 2000s kicked off, it's been basically nonstop. And I'm not saying there weren't little things here and there, and occupations and things of that matter, but not, all out propaganda filled in everyone's media, in everyone's face, threatening war, um, as much as post Patriot Act. So, one of the things that this propaganda does is it limits. You look at COVID, you look at all these, things that I'm hoping that the average person is beginning to see, hopefully not beginning to, hopefully sees fully through these tactics enough to know that this is the playbook. It's not always just one facet of life that they get you at. It's all of them. Your involvement in the system comes with a price. You are to be playing into that same system, as with as much as you're allowed to take out. Now, the goal to escape that said system is to stop using it, to stop. It's one thing to speak against it, but if you're not even attempting to remove yourself from the those, to not be such a cog in the machine, then you're really it's almost like you're a crab in a bucket. You're just leading people down the wrong path. Now, we've talked very candidly about our um involvement with the system, our disdain for it, and how certain things are, you know, the soup's just not ready to come off the stove, with a lot of these movements that aren't really moving as much as we would wish they would be moving by now. And I mean that as in, we would love to stop paying taxes right tomorrow. We would love to, all these things, they need to be thought of in this way. We need to overcome the topic of our episode tonight, fear. We need to overcome that fear, the stress, the being overwhelmed by what might happen, or what could come about. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy for everyone to just stop paying taxes. It won't be easy. It's not meant to be easy. That's where the fear stops you from doing things. It's because most people's fear nowadays is literally fear of not being as comfortable as they are right now. And that's what's sad about it. At least in the 40s, people were afraid of getting their leg blown off and their head blown off. Now people are afraid of not having their Dutch brothers. They're not having, oh no, you guys, we're all rally against human trafficking and child trafficking and all this, but if you find out Starbucks has been involved in it, you're like, yeah, can't we just keep Starbucks though? It's just like, how it has, you'd have people still showing up to the rally against BlackRock with with their, here's a coffee for you, here's a coffee for you. And it's just like they wouldn't they lost the plot. The comfortability needs to be lowered at the very least in order to make it real. You got to start feeling the water boiling as that crab in the bucket. You got to start feeling that water boiling. You can't just wait until it's already at a fever pitch to start making moves and start screaming. Man, my analogies are on point with that. So with that being said, you look at the theater of war as we know it, and what does that do to, someone your age, or potentially we can speak on people a little bit younger, because obviously we uh, you know, we lived through arguably one of the most propaganda filled war decades of human history, with the advent of the phone and computer being so prevalent and everybody has it. Obviously, I mentioned the Patriot Act. That's what I'm referring to. Post 9/11, if you will. What is this current strife or theater of war do for the psyche, uh, as it pertains to fear in the average human, or the youth coming up right now?
Well, one of the things that I see too, it's like a few weeks ago we were talking about um, like World War III, and Trump starting that with Iran and stuff, and then it's World War III, and then it's like, oh, see, it's not World War III, and then it's everything's fine, but then it's like nobody sees on top of it, the weather warfare and everything else going on right now, and it's all the other warfare. It's just like, some people want to see it. It's like, oh, well, see, people who said, well, World War III was happening. Some people will say, oh, see it, and it depends how you look at it. It's like, well, you could say that we've already been in World War III. It's already happening because you have the weather warfare and all the other things going on right now, and all these attacks, not just even in America, but in other countries as well over the world right now with it. Um, Things just happening everywhere. It's just like, and people don't see the warfare and the war and that. And then it's like, it kind of goes back to what I was saying last week, how um, I just think at this point, people have to, live their lives, and you have to enjoy your life. You have to live your life, make the most of the time we have right now, because everything is, subject to change. You don't know what's coming next, what's going to happen. Um, and just where things are going. I mean, you don't know what it's going to be a week or a day or a month or a year from now. And that's just the thing. There's so many people living in the they're living in the what if. They're living in the fear. They're living, oh, what if I go outside and I get attacked by a bear? What if I go outside and I get attacked by a tiger? What if I uh, go outside and breathe in some smoke, or I get stung by a bee, or um I trip and I fall, or I get bit by a dog. Everyone's just worried about, they're stuck in fear, and they're stuck in the what if, and that's why they're not. A lot of people aren't living life, and they're not living to what they could and should be. They're caught in they're just caught up in just what their own thoughts. I mean, just how they think of what war really is, or what things supposedly look like or could look like, and they're not even seeing all the other things happening. And um it's like I said, we're a month ago it was, oh, World War III and in Iran and all this stuff, and look where we are now. I mean, it's World War III, but it's volcanoes, it's weather, it's flooding, it's twisters, it's earthquakes, tsunamis, it's everything. And and nobody's seeing it, nobody's calling it out, and then you have just the regular warfare that's going on too, and that's the whole deal with it. Yeah, you just have so many people that people just they're so afraid to just live life and do what you got to do, um, and then like you said, just people being too, and other people are just being just too complacent with things and uh, being too comfortable, not even wanting to just yeah, it's like you got to get up and go stand outside, barefoot in some grass. You just got to do little things, just take little steps, just to feel and see what the world's really about. Just take a look around, and um, so that's where they just got us right now. I mean, you look at it, and just everything that's been happening. I mean, he brought this up last week too, but just our area really hasn't been affected with a lot of stuff that's been going on lately, besides Mount Rainier and stuff. But that's subject to change. I mean, everything is subject to change. You don't know what's coming. People just got to think about living life and enjoying life and making the most of your moments and of what you got. And because once you allow that fear to take over, and then you're just afraid of everything, you're not living life. You're not enjoying anything. You're not going to have fun. You're not going to have any pushback, because it's just fear based, and that's what they've done. I mean, that's what you have. You just have a massive fear based society, and then you have all these people that are just caught up in whatever you want to be afraid of. It does, it's COVID. It's oh, I'm going to get sick. It's whatever. It doesn't, and then that's just where it is, because now you look at it. Like I said, they just take a story, and then all of a sudden, boom, that whatever they said, just it's gone. Then they hit you with all this other stuff, and nobody blinks an eye. Nobody thinks anything of it, because they don't put it in the same category. They don't put it all as one. They want to look at everything as separate. Like I've always said it, a long time ago. Everything is the same. It's all one. I mean, the warfare, the war, the what they're doing, how they're doing it. There's no difference between whether it's actual war with guns, bullets, bombs, and tanks, or jets, or if it's just weather warfare. I mean, it's all the same at the end of the day, until people figure that out and see it for what it is. And then people, that's the thing. You guys like, oh, they're so afraid of what could be. It's like people that are afraid to live in Washington or live in Seattle because of the big one, or the earthquake, or Mount Rainier, or something like that. Everyone's afraid of all this stuff, and then that's just it. And they want you to think that, oh, these things are just random and just natural, when they're the ones that are causing it. They're behind it. They're doing all this, and they're syncing it up with these other events, and they're putting it all together as one. And yeah, until people wake up and see that's really the only way to stop the fear, because then you become spiritually aligned. You see the world through a more powerful lens, whether you're using gematria or whether you're just looking at facts and real information, hard data, stuff like that. That's what's actually going on. I mean, because if people want to think that, when you look into the stuff, that it freaks people out, it makes them more fearful. I mean, for me, it's the exact opposite. I mean, it uh, motivates me, inspires me. It makes me definitely a lot stronger as a person, um, and just more confident, just knowing that um, just how rigged and set up and fabricated your reality really is. I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, some people just think that um, all this stuff just happens, or it just it's just happening. No, it's all one. It's all contrived. And I mean, once you understand that, and you understand who's doing it, I mean, you realize it's like, what's there really to be scared of? Where's the real fear? I mean, the real fear is in the not knowing. It's in the deception. It's in the people that are caught between the lines. They can't tell the difference from uh, any of the stuff going on. I mean, all these floods. I mean, you've had we talked about the floods last week, and the week before with Texas. Then there's a bunch more last week all over the states. There was a bunch more this week all over the states, and all over the country, all over the world. There's more and more. Some places are getting hit multiple times. Some places are getting hit over and over again. Some new places are being hit. I mean, over half the country and states are affected right now. And you got the weather, you got the twisters, and the earthquakes, tsunamis. In other words, earthquake and tsunami in Alaska. You've had Mount Rainier, the earthquake swarms. Yeah, I mean, every volcanoes. I mean, everything they can hit you with lately, they've been hitting us with. Uh, and that's just got to be the point. I mean, people got to see the World War III, the weather warfare, the just the war that we are in general right now is it's here and it's coming and it's attacking from all sides and all angles.
Yeah, man. You're certainly cooking on that take. Completely agree. And I mean, preaching to the choir, but obviously, hopefully preaching to some ears that are receptive to it as well, because you're absolutely right. If we can't handle the things that are right in front of us that are ripe for to be upended or changed or amended, how are we ever going to handle the true foes of humanity? They have all the levers at their control. And if we're fearful and we're scared of the boogeyman around each corner and the unknown, we're never going to take that step forward that's necessary to push them to be uncomfortable. We're fighting for comfortability. Meanwhile, it's crazy that why we're losing is because both sides are fighting for the same thing. It's not a righteous thing that we're both fighting for. We're both fighting for comfortability, and that's what's got the villains of this world stuck in their ways, and what's got the victims of this world stuck in their ways. Um, but just in a quick search here, did you look at how this reads? People believed to be missing from the Curve, Texas flood, the first flood. Of course, it's reflooded by now. Has dropped from nearly 100 to 3. Does that ring a bell? Does that remind you of uh Lahaina?
Oh
The
yeah,
hundreds of missing kids that, "Oh, no, 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 we found I think there's only one left. We found actually all of them. They're all found. No conspiracy
yep.
here. Every single one of them was found. They were just chilling out in the woods or something." So, here we go again, and if, for anyone that doesn't understand the script, um, let's take a look here. Palisades, fire, uh, low income housing. Governor Newsom announced 101 million for low income housing in fire zones. No, no, he just did this. This what they didn't know about this before. This wasn't part of any plan. This is just, it's all burnt up now, so you might as well just have the government swoop in and make use of it, right? No problem. No problem. This wasn't part of any kind of plan. Don't worry about it. Just conspiracy theorists. It's just a coincidence that everything the conspiracy theorists were saying happened. It's just a coincidence. That doesn't mean doesn't mean anyone has foreknowledge of what's going to be happening based on previous evidence. That just means you're a kook. So yeah, your weather warfare, yes, 100% is at the one of the forefronts of things we need to push back on in the government, because I mean, if not now, when? Look at, like you said, half the country got China absolutely destroyed, and it's like, you can't speak for every single other place, obviously, but in America, we're free, as
We're
everybody
so
says, as
free.
if, um, and to an extent, I can understand that we might have more personal freedoms than the average person in China. I don't know. I don't. I'm not Chinese, so I couldn't tell you. But from what is, propaganda, at least, that's where my mind goes, is that we might have more individual freedom in order to speak out against our government in a more free quote unquote manner. So let's use it. We got to use it now, otherwise you're swept away. What recourse is left for the thousands and thousands of people? Okay, let's say all this is on the up and up. I have my own theories about these summer camps that all got washed away, and of course, you don't hear about the boys. several boys' camps with all kids missing or dead. And they're declared dead by who? Your friend, your cousin. Is your cousin coming to the cookout and talking about, oh wow, I went to Kerr County and helped out. Yeah, I saw three girls floating right there at the camp. I don't think those stories are coming out. I feel like there are a lot of but take if you don't understand what I mean, think back to Asheville. I know these things are a long time ago and they might as well not have happened. And Luigi Mangione never existed. But in Asheville, what was the government doing when capable people were trying to go and help with trucks, horses, helicopters in some cases? What were they doing to those people? What were they telling those people? No, go back. You can't do that. You will be arrested if you come and try to help. So I have my own theories on what could be going on, and I think we touched on human trafficking once or twice on this channel, and you got stories like kids summer camps, all their kids not coming home. Let's put it that way. Meanwhile, you're never going to see video evidence. You're never going to see proof, and not that I want to, but it leaves it ambiguous enough for the I'd say conspiratorial mind to fill in some of the blanks, and it's a lot less pretty even than some floating bodies. I actually am bold enough to say, because speaking of fear, these are summer camps. There's an unwritten law when it comes to giving away your child to an entity, to an organization that gives off there's like a hidden contract. There's an adult aspect to it, a soul contract. It's my soul and yours as the adults in the situation, the camp and the crew and the owners and the organizers of the camp. You don't fuck with any kids. Nothing happens to these kids. It can't happen. You get, of course, you get terrible stories and things do happen, but no parent sends their kid away thinking that these things can happen. Now, now that these stories, and why I'm bringing this up, because you didn't hear about flooding in Texas by any other lens other than what? 20 missing girls at a summer camp. That
Yep.
was the one thing they had to highlight. Even throughout all of it, 130 people dead, but the 20 girls are the most important. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have been. Children should have been. But my point being is that now you have a fear building up of, and rightfully so, of I'm not saying these camps were government, but I'm saying the government response along with state coordinators or local coordinators for these camps. In my opinion, if things were not on the up and up with potential trafficking of these kids, there was obviously people in the know at these camps that had basically sold these kids over to be considered dead. But I'm sure those kids have very real parents that I'm only hoping that weren't aware of any potential situation, whether they died or whether there's a more sinister plot against them. The result is the same. They're never going to see their kids again, and one way or another, that kid's life's changed forever or ended. So you now have a mistrust and a fear of, you think any of those parents are ever sending their kid to a summer camp ever again? I would fucking hope not, but also no, 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 no. They probably never go camping either. But why I bring that up is because it's just another layer of fear. Now what do you do with that fear is why I bring that up. You have thousands of parents and affected people. It needs to become something. It can't just be Asheville. And I'm not saying the people in Asheville didn't try. I'm not saying these places aren't trying. They're getting stifled and it's gone. And that's our fault as human beings that can understand something. You got to understand these are all psychological operations on us. half the story, like we've talked about this before. You hear a story that what like when you live on the West Coast, you'll get these stories about New York. Okay, sucks. Sucks to be you over there. That's the common thought process. Is like we got shit to deal with over here. It's thousands of miles away. We're not as invested with it, and that's a problem. That's honestly a problem. I'm not saying we should go across country and help and leave behind what we need to do here, but there needs to be more of a sense of camaraderie. It starts with your neighbors. It starts with a community. That community will naturally extend the further out your borders get because your neighbors become good friends with their neighbors, which is two houses away from yours now. I'm doing this on a micro scale, but now they introduce you to the neighbors two houses down. Well, now they're part of your community, and now they want to bring their neighbor into the community, and you can see the domino I'm talking about. Now those neighbors want to bring their kids who live, across state into this community. So now you got this like cross state community. You can see how that kind of community could respond to something in these situations. Not the government, not the government that's going to tell you no. We're going to be there with our own form of telling the government no in the form of some pew pews, and we're going to go take care of business because this is a human issue. The government doesn't get to tell you not to do stuff that affects you. That's not how the world works. And I'm talking about just like, I'm not saying you go out and commit crimes and things of that nature. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just like we have no idea how stuck we are in this concept of like living, that we don't even realize that this is not what it is. We are doing so many things that aren't true to our nature. And one of the main reasons why is exactly what we're here tonight. Fear. It is a fear of taking that step, saying that sentence, whatever it may be. Um, I know we haven't really talked about it on in this aspect, but I want to kind of pick your brain on this. There is a level of potential fear for speaking out, and I know you've had to deal with it in anecdotally in your in real life, not anything over the internet or anything, but also when you see it firsthand, like I did in Portland when we met. It's not necessarily fear for me because I'm a man. I'm not scared of much, but it was a fear of saying of like they're willing to quell this. Like our resistance right now is three dudes and a microphone, and look at what they're willing to throw at us. So that it's not to say that I was scared of what they threw at us that day. What can cause fear for people though is just to know that the potential's there. And so, we'll get back into, Mount Rainier and the world at large or not. But what do you think about, speaking up in the and what fear does to try to quell that, and how do you handle it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think that and it kind of goes back to what I said too in the last episode too. I think that there is I just think one of the problems with humanity right now, especially that's a lot, especially for like men and stuff, is um it comes when it comes to fear and even just like struggling in life on any level. I think that um it's just knowing that you just don't have a backing or support, like anybody that really cares. And um I think that's I think that's one of the biggest problems facing us, and that was shown on display there when we went down to Portland almost a year ago now, in August. Just us out there and what we were up against, and even though it wasn't as bad and severe as it's gotten in the past and stuff like that, but um, just kind of the ways that I deal with it. It's something where It's like I feel like you're. It's like a calling. It's like you. This is why what you're here, what you're passionate about, what you believe in. Um, and it's very difficult when um. I mean, I wouldn't say the difficult part is really. It's kind of it's hard because everyone is different and susceptible in different ways. But it's not hard that you want to like. Obviously, you want to talk about it. You want to like help people explain things. You want to get information out. I think where the challenge becomes is just how people a lot of times how people react and what people are going to just dealing with people, like I said, how people are inconsistent from day to day and trying to build um, something against our enemies and trying to actually form that brotherhood because people are just so all over the place and inconsistent. And that's the thing. I mean, with you and then my other friend I have that I hang out with you. I mean, every time we're together, I'm explaining things. Um, showing her things. Like last night, like I said, I was talking about the chemtrails, the spraying, talking about the numbers, showing people stuff. I mean, and that's such a huge step because, I mean, whether people are, it's not, some people are afraid of what, they're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of people, what people are going to think of them. But then it's also just that fear of, just alienation and being ostracized, and then you have the other fears of something happening to you and things going down, or the consequences of speaking out, um which I've talked about, a lot of things that have happened to me since just in the last few years since I've been back here, and throughout the whole course of my life and stuff. But the way I kind of deal with it is just um I really just, you have to be a more spiritual person. You have to really understand for the most part what this world is, how it does operate, what's really going on. I mean, just having an open mind and just not letting simple basic things that tear down most people. I mean, it's very difficult to, when you're always under attack and stuff. And like I said, it's not easy trying to go pound pavement and do things, in especially by yourself. Um, but I think if you had, like I said, if more people saw the worth in that, they saw the backing, the support, there would be a lot more people out doing it, because there are people that like really want to make a difference. But I just think most people, they're just so stuck and caught in their ways that they don't want really that brotherhood. They don't really want to connect. And that's, like I said, you gotta just keep a small circle and keep a small group of people, and or just deal with only some people at a time, because you're more than likely going to be, unfortunately, dealing with the enemy or enemies in society pretty much no matter where you go. I mean, someone could be on your side and be a friend 1 second, and they can be totally against you the next second, the next minute, next hour, the next day, and next week, next month, next year. You just don't know. And that's just the thing. And that's what I think a lot of people are just afraid of. I mean, they're afraid that people are watching them, spying on them, and messing with them, and they're getting all worked up about it. Uh, and that's just the thing. I mean, it's the fear of everything. It's people that they're just afraid of everything. They're afraid of uh, talking or texting on the phone because people are watching and recording and listening to everything you say and do. I mean, it's just, but that's just the thing. I mean, are you going to keep it to some people, they'll just get stuck in their house. They won't even want to come outside. They won't want to do anything. They want to go anywhere. Um, they'll just shut people down, and that's no way to live. And that's what they've done to so many people. They shut them down. They put it away, whether you're afraid of COVID or just afraid, like I said, getting stung by a bee or falling down or tripping or getting hit by a car or something. I mean, they got people afraid of everything, just running for the hills. And uh, until people learn to just not be afraid of what they're trying to conjure up in front of you, when you really see things, that's why I said the spiritual component, it really is what gives you, I think, the strength and the power. It's the knowledge and the power of the mind is to see through these things, and uh, where things maybe you didn't understand things when you were younger before. Once you understand things, once you see things, I think that's you put it all together. You see the spirituality. You understand the connections. You see the God or God-like structure of the world. That's where the fear disappears, and the strength really comes from. And I think that's just how most people have to learn to deal with it. They have to see the bigger picture and know that there's more than what's going on that meets the eye.
Man, I swear, dude. Sometimes when you're it's crazy. The thing that is like I'm going to propel that's going to propel me into what I'm going to say after you. I swear almost every single time you will literally cap it with that. It's like we're just sitting there talking to each other in our heads. I don't even know if we've said anything. Is this mic on, or are we just like telepathy right now? That's exactly what I was going to say. Is like we kind of have to get over this idea that we like there's nothing bigger than us. Um, when you see the things for what they are, and you put it perfectly, having this spiritual, I, identity. Really, I mean, look at everybody's identity. It's sad. It's like you know you. It almost makes you. It's like I organized religion has a lot of flaws. As just basically organized behind in front of anything will bring about a lot of flaws, but especially with religion, you look at the track record and all these things. But the way things are going, it's all I mean, not to say that like manufactured religion is spiritual, but the basis behind it is a spiritual, center at its core. There's usually a spiritual message. That almost seems a lot better than the shallow um woe is me or it's all me mentality that everybody has. I mean, a lot of people, don't realize what we're struggling against is, these agendas moving forward, the LGBTQ, all these things, these are self-centered, selfish agendas. This is I think I've saw it somewhere that it's first of all, it's a huge sign of depression. Which, someone with high spirits, is that a depressed person? No. Somebody with, and I say high spirits, and you might don't take that for just like being happy go lucky and joyful. I mean what you're talking about. Spiritual. You have, like, dude, you said it perfect again. The calling. I've mentioned this multiple times that there's a call. We all are being called. That it's not just a cheesy throwaway line I'm talking about. I'm being dead serious. There is something out there that awakens human spirit, and it tries to, that is outside of our body, and it's in our body but it's not from our body, that tries to get you to achieve something. And it's up to you, I think, individually to understand what that is and put the pieces together. But that's what I mean by that calling. That's what a calling means. Is it's a drive, it's a force that is pulling you towards something, but you gotta it's not pulling you while you're sitting on the couch. It's not pushing you from behind, sitting on your couch. You have to get up and drive those legs forward and drive that your mind forward and have that human will. And if you have if you anybody who's gotten the chance to meet Austin, whether or not it was any followers here that got to meet him in Seattle or whatever, you'll know that it's in the eyes, it's in the body language too, that I could easily tell that you were a real person. I mean that in the sense of like a real OG too, but like I could tell that there was a realness about you. Same as Zach. It's like you can watch 1,000 videos. You got to meet them. You got to understand. Yeah, I mean, not saying you got to meet them and you can't trust them otherwise. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying, well, sort of. Actually, it is what I'm saying. I mean, to believe what your eyes and your instincts tell you, but a lot of things can be skewed on the internet, and nobody's above being judged on the internet. That's what happens when you put yourself on the internet. But having met him in real life, I said this in his chat just today. I was like, this guy, because Ruby came barging in the room, and he just, when you get to see a guy's like true colors, this was pre him having a kid when I met him, but you just get to see how somebody is in person, and there was no veneer. This was not some show he put on. He was just himself the entire time. And so it's quite, I mean, so was I, but that's not everybody. That's what sorry, I don't want that to be a throwaway statement about LGBTQ and all that stuff. There, I mean, there's psychology about this, but these are veneers. These are, they're putting on a show. And yeah, there's something going on with them. And, I feel for them in that regard. But these things always, why I'm even bringing that up is because I do think that there's fear that causes people to take the easy way out. It is because of fear. And I know it might sound crazy that the easy way out is potentially cutting parts off of your body and but it's really sad how that is the easy way out nowadays. It's sad. It's really sad to know that for a lot of human beings, the easy way out is the mutilation tactic. That's like self mutilation, not forced state mutilation. Self. Like this needs to be understood at a more personal level. It's one thing to just, disavow it and everything, which I pretty much do, but it's not like I'm gonna. I have no interest in stopping what anyone else is doing, any consenting human. But at the same time, the degradation and the slow burn of all these uh, agendas taking place. And yeah, I only mentioned one, so don't get stuck on that. I mention a lot throughout our videos, so I just happen to mention that one. I don't stick on one thing like that. And chill out. But there's several different factors all happening, in our, throughout our lifetimes and crescendoing at this point right now. And I don't mean crescendo because I think I'm the main character and I'm going to be here for the end. That's another main character trait that a lot of people have, is that they're going to be living through the end times because, they're going to be able to see revelation or whatever. Let me tell you something. When you have kids, you may still think that way somewhat, because trust me, I still have personal selfish feelings because I am in my 30s. I'm not like some 60-year-old like looking at death's door or anything like that. But as far as don't take offense to that 60-year-old. It's my bad. I mean the average age is lessening, but anyway, I it's hard to explain, but when you have kids, it's been replaced by a sense of, they could see it. Like, I need them to be prepared. Whether anything happens or not at a biblical level, I need them to have that same spirit we're talking about. I can't have them give up at the earliest convenience, because as soon as that spirit takes hold, that is, like I tell my son all the time, laziness is so easy. It's always so easy. This is in regards to like stretching, and even I have my issues with it too. But, I try to tell him that, stretching, it's not pain. Don't think of it as pain. Like, I know you think it's pain, but if I were to punch you right now, it's like that's different than stretching. It's like, and try to explain to him that, obviously until you do it, it's never going to go away. If you only do it once a week, it's always going to burn that intensely, and you're going to get little to no effect out of it. You have to go through it. Once you go through it, that's what builds not just your body. I think that's almost secondary. It's literally yourself, your spirit, your will. Once you realize that you can do it. I attribute a lot of the thought process to when I quit smoking cigarettes too. Of course, it was my negative spirit that I had that allowed myself to do those destructive behaviors without even almost second guessing it. But it took something other than just locking myself in a room with no access to the things. I had to be around it. I had to, drive by the Shell or the gas station I used to stop at to buy them all the time. You have to. It takes actual going through it, not trying to skirt around it, not trying to. You have to confront it, just like the fears that we have. We need to confront those fears, and once we confront them, it's almost like if it's so large that you feel like you can't do anything, then what do you got left to lose? Like, so if at the end of the day, as society, we all come together and we all they do is just nuke us. Okay. Okay. So that's what happened. We can't fight a nuke. We never could. So why not band together? It's to me, it's more about the banding together and staring at it in the face. First of all, I don't think they're going to nuke all of us in one pool. Anyway, that's not their agenda. But I'm saying, to me, it's more important that we were to overcome the fear than to just continually have excuses and fear guide our moves and our lack of moves. So I think your key words there were just like, wow, yeah, that is exactly where I wanted to go with this topic when I brought it up. So please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I just think that, it's, and everyone, like I said, is in a different boat. I mean, there's certain people that, um, I mean, there's people that, and it's weird because some people, they'll be afraid, like I said, to just watch a video online, or post something, or write a comment, or um, if they even, come on our show or something, or something like that. It's just all this fear. And the thing is, I mean, some people, and it's like I said too. I mean, like, even at the gym, trying to deal with people, and trying to find consistency with people. I mean, the other reason we're lacking so much too is there's an inconsistency with just people. People aren't consistent. I mean, without consistency in life, nothing is going to work out. Basically, what you were just saying with stretching and working out and stuff. I mean, that's 100% correct, because it's something where you have to be consistent about it. And like I said, people that, oh, World War III in Iran, and they took that down. And then, now they don't think about war and warfare and weather warfare, and everything's fine, everything's good. And, oh, see, there's nothing going on. And then all this weather warfare is happening. And you have all over the world with the floods and the flooding and the earthquakes and tsunamis and volcanoes and all this stuff popping off, and everyone's just glossing over it, not wanting to see it for what it truly is. And then you have the people that, like I said, they're getting caught up in this stuff, and their lives totally changed. Their life was totally fine one day, and then just an hour later or 10 minutes later, it totally changed. That's just the point I'm getting at. It's just everything is just subject to change, and there's no um uh, people aren't consistent. And then, people are being faced with inconsistencies on top of that. I mean, people have to, everything that, that gets thrown at you, you have to either counter it or counteract, or whatever, or whatever wrench they throw at you. I mean, it's like with COVID in 2020. I mean, that threw a wrench into just about everybody's life in some way, shape, or form. Some people a lot worse than others. Some people, they're not even alive anymore. They're not even here anymore. Some people, they got taken out from it. Some people, they made out all right. Some people lost everything. And that's just how it is. And I think that's um, why the fear is at the level that it is because people see now that, and like we've brought up before, I mean, the effects of 9/11 may have not been, that much or that uh, brutal in our own lives, but then it was something like COVID in the last 5 years, and everything that's come since. I mean, it's been nothing but uh, fear, and just kind of putting people away, and shutting people. They don't want people out like we were doing. out there almost a year ago in Portland. They don't want people out there pounding pavement, coming together, doing these types of things, and um, that's just it. I mean, if there is more people going out actually doing things and talking, I think that these things would there would be a lot more resistance. But because so much of things have been pushed online and through the internet, and since they have easy control of that, easy access, and they can easily just derail anything you get going on there, it's made trying to stand up to the agenda and fight back against it a lot harder um, than it should be. And um, it's like I said last night. I mean, we were just hanging out, just chilling outside. We were just watching the sky, watching the stars, watching them move and dance in the sky, watching the spraying, watching the chemtrails, um, just being one with nature, just sitting outside, laying in the grass, just doing that type of thing. I mean, that's what everybody needs to do. And if more people were just taking the time to do basic things like that, that would be huge fundamental steps. It's like you were saying with the stretching. I mean, that's if everybody was doing the stretching, if everyone was doing these things. I mean, these are the things that slowly but surely take away the fear. I mean, it's every little thing you do, and even if you're uncomfortable with something, or you're not uh, that good with something, or you're struggling with something, it can easily um, certain things are a lot more easy to overcome and defeat. I mean, there's certain things where, yeah, it's there's a fear to it. I mean, you're jumping out of a plane, or you're afraid of getting eaten by a bear or a tiger. There's some there are things to be afraid of, and don't get me wrong, there's things, and that's a good thing, because that you want to be afraid of certain things so you don't get yourself killed, or have something bad happen. But there's this overwhelming fear that's just shutting people down, shutting people away, and um closing people off. And then that, like I said, that with the weather warfare is what's going to be our demise. I mean, um with everything they're doing, because it's been a relentless assault. It's been getting worse and worse every day, every week. I mean, look what they've done this month. The month's not even over yet, and you don't know what volcano's going next, what earthquake's going next, where there's going to be a tsunami next, where the flooding is going to be next. uh, and some people are getting hit over and over right now. Some people are lucky, like us. We haven't got hit with anything besides these earthquake swarms at Mount Rainier. But I mean, like I said, we don't know exactly what our future is, and I don't. I live just 39 miles away from it, so I don't know what my future entails either. But that's what I mean. There's people that they're so afraid. They're so scared. Oh, I could never go there. I could never live there. Well, I mean, look at me. I'm right here. I mean, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. I mean, something's gonna have to kill me someday. It's just everyone just wants to live, and just that's the thing. There's gonna be nowhere to go. There's gonna be nowhere to live. There's gonna be nowhere to do anything. So it's just gonna be fear, 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 and people are just gonna die of the fear and die of the events instead of fighting back against it, and just taking the time to look at it and see it for what it is and call it out. Uh, so yeah, I just think people have to get back to basics. I mean, if you got more people out actually talking, just sitting outside, doing basic things like we used to do, and if we could get more people just off the internet, and getting people out of the rut that they're in, and get people to start living life, enjoying life, and living the way we're supposed to live, I think that would be huge. Because there's too many people living in fear. There's too many people that are just closed off. Too many people that are just they're full of anxiety. They're not even living life. They're miserable, and it's having its effect. It's having its effect in every way, shape, and form. And um, unless people change on a massive level, and they start becoming more consistent, and they actually do want to somewhat form a more realistic and true brotherhood um, against what's actually going on, uh, things will seemingly never change, and things will just continue to get worse, because we're at that point where, like you said, I mean, are people going to get it? They're going to wake up, they're going to see it, they're going to do anything, or uh, what's it going to be? I mean, 2025 is the calendar year's over half over. We don't know how July is going to finish up, August. I mean, who knows what's going to happen that month? I mean, look how bad this month was, and but by September, I mean, who knows how much bad stuff's going to happen? It could be right here. I mean, um, so that's the thing. I mean, what does it take? It to me, it just takes the basics. And once you start getting that repetition going, you start doing something. You just continuously do it. You keep working at it. The days click away. That's when you're going to see the results. And things aren't going to change overnight, but you just got to start somewhere at some point.
Very well put. Um, yeah, you mentioned, on the tail end of July here, and we got August right knocking
Right.
on the door. And I mean, that's to me one of the key dates to look forward to uh, every year is the 11th. Not only because it's my son's birthday, but it's also the heart patent anniversary. So, with all the weather warfare we're facing already, look for August to potentially be uh, an ante up because
Oh yeah.
July is generally kind of like the middle, so it can be the peak of summer, but I have lived through enough Indian summers to know that August can be twice as bad as July's, easily. I've had some August that were, brutal. And Indian summers have been much more common in my later years. I remember them never honestly, I don't remember them as a kid. It was like summer was like, yeah, generally pretty hot but it ended at the normal season's time, and we'd either get some snow or very little snow each year living in Portland. But it was pretty consistent, and that has not been the story of my later years. Consistency each year is the last thing we've gotten, and we've talked about how that affects crop growth and things of that nature. And but yeah, very well put there at the end, and can't figure out a better way to cap off this episode. I did put a little interaction bubble there for you guys. Curious to know anybody who made it this far, or hopefully makes it this far. Leave a comment. What do you guys fear the most? And it doesn't need to be. It can be a joke. It can be doesn't need to be serious. It doesn't need to not be serious. It can be however you guys want to approach this. It can be toe jam. But just let us know also, if you want also how you handle it. Not only does it, help the algorithm, I guess. So we respond to every single comment. We read every comment, and recently we have more comments than views on some of these videos. So that's a wild ratio, but
Yeah.
uh so yeah, get active in the comments with us. And he mentioned the fear of hopping on with us. If you're somebody who has a voice and you just want to shoot the shit with us, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And it's like, the way, what we've seen moving forward is like, yeah, we might get some man on the street going eventually. It's hard. It really is hard for me to talk about the future for us because I know what we want. And it's just, unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, but because of circumstances, not everything just rolls together exactly how you want it with ease. So, some of the things we've talked about potentially turning this channel and our relationship into like not I've said a brand before. Don't doesn't mean that's associated with the common thing you'll hear on YouTube or anything like that. Really, just like a brand, as in like getting the word out. Um, I would love for that to, hit another level to where we're doing, like I said, man on the street, skits, things of that nature. We both talked about it. Whether or not that happens, or if it happens in a relatively soon fashion, that's all up in the air. We can't make those calls right now. But um in the meantime, if this podcast were to expand to multiple people, new faces hopping on here, we're all about it. That we I think we've said community in 67% of our episodes. So we're not just blowing smoke. That's what we aim for, and that's what we want. So I'll let you pack up before your last car in the parking lot, and I'll leave you guys with have a great weekend or have a great week, and we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.